Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I think that was the internet's way of saying, Samuel, you're not getting these 20,000 likes. And like I often teach, chaos follows creation. So as we set that goal, there's no other thing I can imagine, which is the reason why we had that little technical interruption. We were literally kicked out of the live. Guys, we're not going to let the technical issues derail the sell of this ship because the sell's already done. Let's go. All right, guys, we're going to take it up real quick. We're going to jump straight into this one. First and foremost, before I go deeper and we regain where we were at, let me know inside of the chat, where are you joining from? Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia? Are you in Asia? Are you in Mother Africa? Let me know in the chat where you're joining us from. Let me know in the chat where you're joining us from. Wow. To think the way that just happened. Wow, 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 wow. Chaos tries to follow creation, but with inspiration, we will still forge forward into transformation. Let's go. All right, my people, let me know in the chat where you're joining us from. I'm seeing the comments coming through, but they're not coming through fast enough or hard enough, guys. Come on, guys. Let me know where you're joining us from. Where you're joining us from. Okay, the flags are in the house. Annie Panny's in the house. She says UK. Abina's in the house. She says UK. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Listen, they tried to shut us down, but they can't shut us down. Let's do this, guys. We nearly hit 20,000 likes. We were on 16,000 likes when the live got shut down. I want you to hit the share if you care up in here. And straight after hitting share, you know what to do. Hit that like, hit that like, hit that like, hit that like, as you like, as we go deeper, deeper, deeper in today's session. Annie Panny said it, you can't shut this down. Let's go. Comatima says joining from the UK. Abina says joining from the UK. Annie Panny says joining from the UK. All right, this is beautiful. Now, with everybody in, everybody locked on, let's go deeper, okay? Let's go deeper. Super quick recap. We don't even need the deeper recap. We can do the light recap just to give you guys exactly where we were at. We started today's live talking about the simple fact that listening and hearing are not the same thing. Straight after talking about listening and hearing are not the same thing, I gave you guys the definition of hearing. The definition of hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, ways, and windows that are shared. Okay? If you guys were getting value before we got crashed out, just throw the word value, value, value in the chat. Let's even do this, guys. If you guys were getting value before we got kicked out of the live, I want you to give the live that we just had, the live where we hit 16,000 likes. I want you to give us a live score, okay? 10 is Samuel, that live was so hot, I knew the internet had to shut you down. 1 is Samuel, that live, I don't even know why I'm back. Throw your number in the chat. 10 is Samuel, that live was so hot, the internet had to try and shut you down. 1 is Samuel, that live was not even worth being here. I don't even know why I'm back again. Throw your numbers in the chat. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's just let those people that are jumping in new know how the live was hitting before we just proceed to give them everything they need as we go forward. Annie Panny says it was a 10. Komutima says it was a 10. Okay. So we were working out here. We were giving the value out here. Okay, cool. Now, very quickly, if you know that you had friends, family, connections, acquaintances that were on this live that literally got kicked out when we got kicked out, that aren't back now that we're back, hit the share, DM them, message them, yo, we're back again. We're finishing the live. We spoke about leadership. We spoke about learning. And we're going to jump into the last component. We're not going to be stopped. We're going to be talking about leverage. Now, for those of you who remember, we said that when we start hearing and developing our ability to hear, multiple things start to improve. The first thing that improves is our ability for leadership. That's the first thing that improves. Now, let's set a goal, a like goal right now. You guys tell me in the chat, what's the like goal right now before we wrap up this live, okay? So we're setting a like goal because if it was the likes, the 16,000 likes that made whatever shut us down, we are gonna make sure that we hit whatever figure you guys are gonna say so that we can let them know, okay? Now, we're not gonna be on as long as we were, so it might not be 16,000, but you guys let me know, what are we gonna hit? We definitely have to go past 4,000, definitely. Let me even go further. We definitely have to go past 5,000 because 4 more thousand and we would have hit the goal of 20,000. So you guys let me know. Yolanda, welcome to the live. Annie Pani, welcome to the live. Comitima, welcome to the live. You guys are jumping in, right? Let's go. Annie Pani says, Samuel, let's go for 10,000. Comitima comes with boldness. Samuel, we were on 20 before. Let's go for 20 more, all right? Guys, let's do this. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna leave the goal like that for you. I'm gonna let you guys do the goal. I don't wanna underestimate anything. If Annie Panny's saying 10 and Komutima's saying 20, I'm one of them bold believers. I'll go for the 20. So let me leave it to you guys. Do what you do. Let's hit those likes. Let's hit those shares. Let's show to the people out there that we really care because we're letting them know something's going on in here. Let's go. All right. So let's start breaking it down. The first thing we did in today's session is we said hearing and listening are not the same. After we broke down that hearing and listening were not the same, we then defined hearing. We defined hearing as hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and ultimately the activation of the words, the ways, and the windows that we have the opportunity to be exposed to. Then from there, you guys pulled out of me the path to progress. Like I said, I don't usually have time to teach that on a live, but you guys got me to teach that on this live, which was absolutely amazing, all right? For us to actually break down the actual aspects of the path to progress and how it participates in all of these things we're talking about here. But then straight after that, we spoke about what does hearing actually do when hearing is developed in me, when hearing is developed in you. And that's when the lesson started getting hot, which doesn't surprise me that we got kicked out. So we said the first thing hearing does, according to John chapter 10, verse 27 to 28, is hearing develops our ability for leadership. So that's when people start giving you opportunities you never knew you should have. That's when people start inviting you when you didn't think you should get invited through. Leadership is when we start realizing who's really leading us so we can be more proactive about who we're supposed to lead. That's how leadership works. Then we said when we keep developing our hearing, when we keep developing our hearing, we then get the privilege to end up in a place where we can start developing our learning. And that is such a beautiful picture. And we use Proverbs chapter 8, verse 33 in order to eloquently express that. Our learning starts leveling up. We start being the person who knows stuff. Other people start thinking, how do you know that? Where did you discover that? Who taught you that? Wasn't we in the same class in primary 1? Wasn't we in the same uni? Didn't we take the same course? I'm sure we took the same modules. Didn't we have the same boss? Didn't we work in the same department? How did you figure that out? Who helped you? That starts becoming the mantra. Who helped you? Who made you extremely exceptional without my permission? But that's what happens. Our learning begins to develop when we activate and work on our hearing. If you guys are ready for the third one, throw in the number 3, because the next thing that happens to you, the next thing that happens to me when we start developing our hearing is we start getting leverage. Now, leverage, Samuel, what does that mean? Annie Pani, I believe, was the one who threw it in the chat earlier. I've still got my chat from earlier, even though it's not inside here. I said to you guys, leverage is when we get paid a lot for little work. We do little work, but we get paid a lot. For those of you who've been following me for a while, Samuel, I can win and help people create consistent and colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight. Many of you think, wow, Samuel, you know what? How are you going to do that? How are you going to help me create consistent and colossal cash flow using resources and revenues that are hidden right in front of me? I'm going to tell you how. because I'm going to teach you the laws of leverage. That's all it is. That's what I do. The people that come on my training, the people that spend the 5 days with me in the 5-day cash flow creation week, the people that are in my coaching programs, the people that come on these lives, do you know why you guys get so much life out of these lives? Do you know why you guys get so much vibe out of this life? Do you know what it is that actually makes these lives so powerful? I can tell you the secret. Because I'm one of those guys. I will tell you the secret. I'm not going to hide the secret from you. Why should I hide the secret from you? Now I've discovered the secret, I can share the secret. It doesn't have to be a secret, even though it's still going to be a secret. And you're going to say, Samuel, it doesn't have to be a secret, even though it still be a secret. How can it still be a secret if it doesn't have to be a secret? I'll tell you. Come, lean in. Let me tell you. Let me tell you why it still is going to be a secret, even though I'm going to tell you the secret. The reason it's still going to be a secret, even though I'm going to tell you the secret, is because everyone in the world's not on this live. Everyone in this world is not on this live. Everyone in the world is not on this live. And even if everyone in the world was on this live, most people still wouldn't hear. Someone write in the chat the word hear. You guys are getting it now. You see, when you understand there's a difference between hearing and listening, you understand that you can tell people secrets and most people still won't hear it. You understand you can tell people this is the secret. And some people will just be listening. So the information just ends up glistening. But some people will say, no, I'm going to hear. I'm going to appreciate. I'm going to internalize. And I'm going to activate what I hear so I can change my life from up in here. If someone's getting some value, throw the word value in the chat. I want you guys to understand how the world works. Because when you understand how the world works, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The world will start to work for you. Let's go deeper. I want to start sharing with you guys about leverage. The secret is now out of the bag. The reason why you guys get so much value when you sit in a live with Samuel I Can Win is not because I do magic. It's not because I'm trying to figure this out without a doubt whilst you guys are on the live. That's not what it's about. I see you, Annie Panny, who says value. The reason why you guys get so much value when you jump on a live with me, the reason why my coaching clients get so much value when they join on my coaching journey, the reason why people join my 5-day cash flow creation week and say, Samuel, you know what? I definitely got way more than 10 times than I paid. I'm going to tell you why. Because I study and I studiously employ the law of leverage. I do everything I can, welcome Phoebe to the live, to make sure that I can provide leverage. What's leverage? Leverage is how I tell you a story, but the way I tell you the story allows you to see how that story can work for you. Leverage is how I provide you a principle, but because of the way I share with you the principle, you instantly see how that principle is of value to you. This is the game changer. This is guys, the game changer is not magic. It's not stuff that, oh, someone made up and put in a vial and it's a potion that they pour in an ocean and no. It's a system. It's a setting. It's a scenario that you can employ the same way I employ. This is how I have students who go from generating £3,000 a month to generating £83,000 per month. And even those students would never have believed they would have been able to do that when they were generating the £3,000 a month. It's not magic, it's leverage. And leverage comes when you activate your ability to start hearing. Someone write in the chat the word hearing, Hearing, hearing. Let's jump into this. So we've been talking about leverage. Now I'm going to share with you first and foremost how leverage works in a very simple essence. Okay, I'm going to use property. I'm going to use a property example. And then straight after I explain to you how leverage works using this property example, I'm then gonna deep dive. I'll give you the Bible. I'll give you the Bible foundation so you can see how this works. And then I might even give you some business insights and interpretation as well. If that sounds good, someone hit that like button. Let's hit 5,000 likes real quick just to show, oh my gosh, you guys have done this already. Wow. Did we really hit 5,000 likes already? Whilst we were in the recap, did we hit 5,000 likes in the recap? You guys are literally attempting to go for that goal of 20,000 likes. You guys are not joking. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Who threw the badge in that I didn't even get to say thank you for? Who threw that badge in? Someone threw a badge in and I didn't even get to say thank you. They must have done that quick. TJM Bill. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Oh, that's Komutima. Komutima, thank you for the badge. Wow. I know we got a whole bunch of badges in the last live. I didn't know anyone threw a badge in this live. That came in quick, super quick. All right, Komutima, thank you for that. And everyone who's in the live, guys, if you haven't said hi, say hi. Come on, guys. We're old school here, guys. We greet people, we say hi, we don't lurk in the shadows or lurk in the clouds. There's no trolls, no judgment zone here. So if you jump into the live, guys, you know what to do. Hey Samuel, right? Say hi to me, say hi to the people in the community, and let's say hi to you back, all right? Because this is the kind of environment we have, with respectful environment, old school environment, all right? We can't use all the names on the black platform and the red platform and the blue platform, because some people have got some weird names. All right, so let's jump in. So I said to you guys, I'm going to share with you how leverage works. And then after I share with you how leverage works, we're going to jump into how this all, I'm going to break it all down. Let's just break it all down, right? So how does leverage work? I'm going to explain to you with a property example, okay? Because I think this is the simplest, easiest way to explain it today, okay? So this is a quick, simple example so you guys can get your hand on it. So the question we might ask is, what is leverage? And I kind of answered this earlier before the live got cut off earlier on when we were at 16,000 likes. You guys were doing the thing, all right? So when we were at 16,000 likes, I explained to you guys what leverage was. I said leverage is when we do little work, and Annie Panny threw it in the chat, little work, but yet we get paid a lot. That's leverage, okay? That's leverage. Now, scientifically, is leverage a real thing? Someone put in the chat whether they think leverage is a real thing, yes or no. Scientifically, is leverage a real thing? Yes, if you think it's a real thing. No, if you don't know if it's a real thing, okay? So yes or no, is leverage actually a real thing scientifically, or is it made up, okay? So what is leverage? Leverage is when we do a little work and we get paid a lot. We do a little work, we get paid a lot. We do a little work, we get paid a lot. I asked the question before the live crashed before, and the question I asked before is, do the hardest workers get paid the most? Okay? And somebody threw an answer in the chat. I think that was the last thing that came in the chat before we crashed out. It was Annie Panny. There we go. So Jess said, just before we crashed, Jess said, break it down. And then straight after Jess said, break it down, Annie Panny said, never. The hardest workers never get paid a lot. And I was telling you guys the story about when I was studying in university, doing my first master's. Because I was studying statistics, I was considering going into finance. And one day it started to dawn on me that the actual people that work the hardest in Canary Wharf, in One Canada Square, that big building, are not the traders who get to work at 6 a.m. To get to work at 6 a.m., you probably woke up at 4:30, 5 a.m. Who wakes up earlier than the traders? Who works even harder than the traders? I'll tell you, it's people that look like you and me who wake up at 3:30. They're called the cleaners. If someone knows what I'm talking about, just put yes in the chat. The cleaners wake up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, doing the night shift whilst we're yawning. The cleaners are the people who work the hardest, but yet they do not get paid the most. Now, is this Samuel saying, hey, the cleaners should get paid the most? No, it's not me saying the cleaners should get paid the most. It's just an observation so we can have some transformation. Because if you don't make the observation, you can't have the transformation. Someone should throw a badge in for that. Let's go. This is how it works, guys. An observation for you to have the transformation. What's the observation? The cleaners work the hardest, but they don't get paid the most. The cleaners work the hardest, but they don't get paid the most. If someone understands what I'm talking about, just put in the chat, I do, so I know you guys are getting this too, okay? And straight after I know you guys are getting it, we're gonna start deep diving into leverage. I'm gonna give you 2 examples of how leverage works. One which will be scientific, just so you guys know this is terrific. And then straight after we have the scientific example, I'm going to give you a property example. And then we're going to start breaking down leverage and how you get leverage literally by activating your hearing. Okay? How you get leverage by activating your hearing. And I want you guys to understand that this is the game changer. The game changer for most people is not leadership capacity. The game changer for most people is not their learning capacity. The game changer for most people is actually their leverage ability. Okay? I want you guys to understand this. Annie Panny says, I've got it. All right? So let's start unpacking. Here's a scientific example of leverage. Okay? So you guys can understand, oh, Samuel, you didn't make this up. This stuff is real. Here is a scientific, we're going to start with science. Someone write in the chat, science. Let's go. Okay? Someone just shared the live. Whoever shared the live, thank you for sharing the live. Aspark, I believe it says. All right? Aspark, thank you for sharing the live. All right, so let's start unpacking this. I want you guys to get this value. All right? And guys, if you are getting value, you know what to do. Hit that like. I always forget to say it, guys. So you guys always remind me to say it. But if you are getting value, hit the like, hit the share, show you care up in here by doing what only you can do and passing this live on to someone else like you. Let's go. All right. Hopefully everything should be connected right now. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. No, it's not connecting. It's frozen. There we go. Chaos is attempting to follow our creation. That's what happens. But it's cool because we are going to activate our jet skis out of here. All right. So we're talking about leverage. First example I'm going to give you guys is scientific. Someone write in the chat the word science. Someone write in the chat the word science. Someone write in the chat the word science. Let me know that you guys are ready for the first example, which is a science-based example. Okay. Because if it is real, we should see it show up. Okay. Aspark, let me know in the chat your name. We're super old school in this community. So let me know your name so I know who I'm talking to so I can address you and welcome you properly to the live, all right? Aspark in the house says science. Andrew, thank you ever so much, all right? Andrew's in the house. So Andrew says science. Let's go. Guys, those of you who are lurking in the shadows, lurking in the clouds, don't do that, guys. This is a live. You know what to do. Let's thrive, all right? So throw it in the chat, guys. Science, 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 science. So the first thing we discover is that we can uncover using science what leverage is. What is leverage? I shared it in the live before we got kicked out before, that science is the example I'm going to give first. But before we got kicked out before, what did I say? I said to you guys, leverage is where we do a little work, but we get paid a lot. So for those of you who want to pick up your pen, I'll say it again so you can take the notes. Leverage is when we do a little work, but we get paid a lot. Okay? So let's look at a scientific example. Andrew said science, so let's write it down. Science, okay? Here's the first example, scientific example. Annie Panny says science, let's go. Here's a scientific example. The scientific example I'm going to share with you guys to get us kick-started first is a simple example. I've been talking about this example this week in several different ways in the lives that we've been on this week. So I'm going to use this opportunity to do the same thing again, because this way you guys are going to say, oh, I get it, Samuel, you're right. I've seen that before. This is the ground. We plant a seed. The seed produces roots. The roots begin to shoot. And from the seed, we end up with a tree that provides fruits for you and me. A tree is a scientific example of leverage. Someone write in the chat the word tree. Samuel, how is a tree a scientific example of leverage? Because with a tree, you do a little work. You plant the seed. You give the seed what it needs. And that seed comes back to feed you and me. A seed, a tree, is a scientific example of leverage. Does this make sense? If this is making sense, someone write in the chat, I'm getting it. Let me know you guys are getting it, okay? Now, let's use a property example, okay? Super simple, right? I'm breaking this down because I want you guys to understand the power of leverage. Leverage is not something made up by a banker. Leverage is something that God literally put here in the ecosystem. And if you understand what leverage is, guess what happens? You stop getting leveraged and you start to be able to leverage. We live in a world where people are getting leveraged. Let me tell you one of the biggest principles I learned. any mathematical principle you're not using is being used against you. I want you to think about that for a moment. Samuel, are you saying if I'm not using the law of compound interest, then someone's using the law of compound interest against me? Aha, you got it. That's what I'm saying. Samuel, are you saying if I'm not taking advantage of the law of leverage, then that means someone's leveraging me? Aha, you get it. That's what I'm saying. Okay? Let's hit those likes, guys. If we're getting value, let's hit those likes. Okay? What is the goal? You guys said the goal is 20,000 likes. So let's go. And we don't have as much time as we did before. So we got to hit those 20,000 likes real quick this time. All right? Let's go. Let me do this because then this way I'm going to be able to see both at the same time. Boom. There we go. There we go. Andrew says, I get it. Okay, you guys are getting this. This is good. All right? Let's go deeper. So we just realized, or we just showcased a scientific example of leverage. Simple example, but scientific example. And I'm trying to be super quick just so you guys can get all of the value. And I'm also mindful that obviously we were kicked out of the live before, right? So a scientific example. We're already at 5,000 likes. We've got 15,000 more to go from what you guys have said. All right, let's go. So now let's go into a property example, okay? Because that's the thing that most people know me for. Let's go, right? This is a house. For those of you who are brand new to my lives, you've never been in a live or a training or a class with Samuel I Can Win. Whenever I draw a house, the number of windows shows the number of bedrooms in the house, okay? So someone tell me in the chat, how many bedrooms are in this house, okay? How many bedrooms are in the house? For those of you who have never been on a live with Samuel I Can Win before, whenever I draw a house, the number of windows shows the number of bedrooms. So how many bedrooms are in this house? Someone tell me in the chat, okay? Now let's use this to go deeper. I want you guys to watch this, okay? Let's go. Phoebe's back again. Phoebe says 5. Well done, Phoebe. You're absolutely right. Annie says 5. Well done, Annie. You guys are absolutely right. You guys are tracking. Let's go deeper, okay? So we got this 5-bedroom house, okay? Now, let's say this house is £100,000 to buy, okay? If you're in the UK, £100,000. If you're in the US of A, you can just say $100,000, right? If you're in Europe, you can just say 100,000 euros. We're using these numbers for the ease of mathematics to make this simple, okay? So £100,000, 100,000 is the cost of buying this house, okay? Now, for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that's including fees, blah, 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 right? We're just gonna make this simple so you guys can understand leverage. I want you to understand how leverage works, okay? That's what we're working on. We're working on leverage. Andrew says 5. Andrew, you've got it, well done, all right? Let's go deeper, okay? How are we doing for the likes? Okay, we're not at 7,000 yet. I thought we'd be at 7,000 by now. Okay, we're moving a bit slow, but it's all good. Let's keep going. So we've discovered leverage, and I showed you a scientific example, a tree. Now I'm going to show you a financial example using a house, okay? So watch this. Now, most of us know that there's such thing as a mortgage. Most of us know there's such thing as a mortgage. Now, here's a question. How does a mortgage work, okay? Now, mortgage works in different ways depending on the way you play, okay? What do you mean, Samuel? Well, if you're buying a house for you to live in, then you might put a 5% or a 10% deposit, and then the bank will give you the 95% or the 90%. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, just put yes in the chat, okay? Just let me see who knows what I'm talking about. Now, if you are in the UK and you're buying a house as an investor, typically, you're gonna put a 25% deposit down for the house, okay? I'm gonna say it again in case you need to pick up a pen. Typically, your deposit, let's put the letter D here for deposit, is gonna be 25%, okay? Now, what's 25% of 100,000? Oh, I see you, Andrew. I love that. What's 25% of 100,000? It's 25,000, okay? Yeah, Andrew's got it, okay? Now, if the deposit is 25,000, that means the mortgage in this example, this fictitious example for the sake of understanding leverage, is gonna be 75%. Why is it going to be 75%, people? Because 75 plus 25, which is basically mortgage plus deposit, has to equal the full total of the house, okay? 75 plus 25 equals the 100%. So if the house is £100,000 to buy, We're going to put a 25% deposit down. We'll also pay fees, but like I said, for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to assume the fees are included in this. We'll also pay fees, but we'll put 25% down, and for the mortgage, we'll get 75%, okay? What's 75% of 100,000? Someone tell me what's 75% of 100,000, okay? So we've put the 25,000 in as our deposit, and then the bank gives us a loan or a mortgage, whatever you want to call it, of the 75%, okay? So what's the 75% in this case? How do we get to 100,000? We put in 25, and they give us, they borrow us, they loan us, they give us a mortgage of how much, guys? Let me know in the chat, okay? Let's see if you guys are tracking, okay? Now, why am I asking this? I'm going to ask this because I want to show you something, okay? And did I still keep the picture of the tree? Yeah, I've got the picture of the tree, so I'm going to show you this. That was science, and this is, let's call this property, okay? We can call this finance, but we'll just call it property for the sake of ease, okay? Are you guys with me, or are we sleeping? Let me know if you guys are with me or if we're sleeping. All right, let me know so we can flow, okay? Let's go. All right, so, okay, the likes are coming in slow and the comments are coming in slow as well. So it looks like everyone's sleeping. All right, so let me just share it with you for those of you who are sleeping, all right? Feeling tired, too tired to do the maths, okay? Never feel too tired to do the maths because the maths is what's gonna get you paid. Let's go, all right? So 25,000 is the deposit, which means 75,000, 75%, 75,000 is the mortgage. Now, Samuel, why is this important? I'm going to tell you why this is important, okay? Someone tell me in the chat, what's smaller, the D or the M, the deposit or the mortgage? Someone tell me in the chat, what's smaller, the deposit or the mortgage? Let's say this is 25% of the house, and let's say this is 75% of the house. Okay, Andrew said the deposit is smaller. Okay, Annie Pani said the deposit is smaller. Now, let me ask you another question. In our scientific example, what was smaller? Oh, you guys are getting this. You guys are getting this. You guys are getting this. You guys are getting this, right? What's smaller in this illustration? The seed or the tree? You guys tell me in the chat, what's smaller in the first example, in the scientific example, the seed or the tree? Oh, here we go. Andrew says the seed. Oh, here we go. Annie Pani says the seed. What am I showing you guys? I'm showing you how leverage works, whether it's with finance, whether it's with property, whether it's with science. You plant the seed and the seed gives you everything you need. So the deposit is like the seed in this process. The mortgage is like the tree in this process. Is someone excited because they're now seeing, wow, leverage? I get what Samuel's saying now. When he told me if I start hearing, I'm going to develop in leadership, I was excited. When he told me when I start developing my hearing, I'm going to develop in learning, I was even excited. But when he told me about leverage, I didn't really know what he meant. But now I see it. I now see that I can put in less work and get more pay. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You can do this every single day. It's possible. Let me show you something. I want to show you from the Bible how this works, okay? We're going to go to Romans, the book of Romans, okay? Going to go to the book of Romans. I want to show you this in Romans. Romans chapter 10, and we're going to go to verse 17, okay? Because I want you to see this. Like, when I showed you about the leadership, you guys got it. When I showed you guys about the learning, you guys got it. But I told you that leverage is my favorite one. And you might have been thinking, Samuel, why is leverage your favorite one? The reason leverage is my favorite one is because leverage allows us to maximize our inputs. Leverage allows us to maximize our inputs. We put in a little, but we get out a lot with leverage. Someone write in the chat the word leverage. You can't do that unless you got leverage. This is why some people get paid every day and some people Work, 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 and then get paid. I don't even know if I said enough works. Don't worry, we'll do it again in a minute. We'll do it in a minute and we'll make sure. Let's do that right now. Let's make sure. Because I want you guys to understand the illustration I'm about to give you right here. Some people get paid every day. Some people paid. And some people work. Actually, another one there for that week. Work. And on a short month, work, get paid, work. And then they start the whole cycle of similarity again. All over again. If I'm telling the truth, someone write in the chat the word truth. Because if I'm making this up, that's okay. But if this is the truth, let me know it's the truth. Some people get paid, while some people work to get paid. Let's go. Andrew says, you're talking the truth. Let's go. All right. We're in Romans chapter 10. I'm going to read verse 17. I want you to see this, okay? We're talking about leverage. We're talking about how hearing develops your ability for leadership. Hearing develops your ability for learning. But my favorite is that hearing develops our ability for leverage. Watch this. Romans chapter 10, I'm reading verse 17. Listen to this. It says, so then faith comes by hearing. This is so good. So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. I don't know if that jacks you up as much as it jacks me up. And look, here's some homework, just because of the sake of time. Read the whole chapter so you can get all of the context in your own time. But I'm not about to give you some spiritual interpretation. I'm just going to give you some business application. Okay? Because I want you to understand this and be able to use this to move your family's finances further faster. Watch this. Faith, it says, comes by hearing. Does anyone know what that is? That's called leverage. I don't have to work on the faith. I have to work on hearing. This is why hearing enhances, we're nearly at 6,000 likes. You guys are hitting it. This is why hearing is the key to developing our leadership. This is why hearing is the key to develop our learning. And hearing is also the key to develop our leverage. Let me tell you what I mean by leverage here. If you study the Bible, guess what you find out very quickly? Faith, the Bible says in its definition, is the substance of the things you hope for, but it's the evidence of the things you've not yet seen. So if you desire to acquire something that you have not yet got in your life, the only way you can acquire it is with faith. Now, most people don't have an understanding of what faith is. They think faith is some airy, squarey, scary word, right? Let me explain faith to you very simply. When you walk into a room that's dark and you navigate to where the light switch is and you press the switch, you are using your faith. How are you using your faith? I hear you ask. Let me explain. You are believing that something is going to happen as a byproduct of you pressing that switch, even though 99% of people have no earthly understanding of the scientific wiring that takes place when you press that switch. I know electricians who understand the depth of what happens when we flick the switch. And most human beings, most of us, we have no idea what's actually happening when we flick that switch. But yet we have the faith, the justifiable belief that we will see something change when we hit that switch. That's what faith is. Faith is the substance. It's that stuff of the things you hope for, the desire you have that the light will come on, but it's the evidence, which means you do it with confidence because you believe it's already going to happen, the evidence of what you've not yet seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, and it's the evidence of the things not yet seen. The Bible goes on in Hebrews, it says, by which, it goes on to tell you what happens with faith. It says, wars have been won with faith. It says, kingdoms have been sieged with faith. It tells you wealth is created with faith. Every single thing that happens as a win, oh Lord, let's get the lights back on. Every single thing that happens as a win happens as a result of faith. And the Bible tells you faith is that substance. Faith is your chemical reaction that changes your situation because it creates a transaction. Thank you, Kunle, for following the host. Faith is that thing. Faith is that. But here's the funniest thing. Most people have no earthly understanding of what faith is. So guess what they do? They try to force themselves to believe. They try to pump themselves up to believe. They think they're a football and they need an air pump and they try to pump themselves up. We have a world who are trying to pump themselves with motivation in order for them to have transformation. And the Bible did not tell you you need motivation. The Bible said in order to have transformation, all you need is faith. Someone write in the chat the word faith. Now, why is this so empowering? And why is Samuel sharing this? Because I've just shared with you, if we start to work on our hearing will not only, let's go back, our hearing will not only enhance our ability for leadership. Our hearing will not only enhance our ability for learning, but ultimately, as I shared with you guys, our hearing will also enhance our ability for leverage. Because faith, the chemical reaction that creates your future transactions, comes by hearing. It doesn't come by anything else. It comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God, according to Romans chapter 10, verse 17. If someone's got some value, just throw the word value in the chat. Guys, I'll take a couple questions. I know they tried to mess up our live earlier. We had 16,000 likes earlier on. We were pushing through the mega storm. What I want you guys to do, if you're getting value, I want you to write the word value in the chat. Let's go. Andrew beat me to it. Okay. I want you guys to throw the word value in the chat if you're getting value. I'm going to take 2 questions for the sake of time. We'll take 2 questions. And then from there, let's go. Phoebe, welcome to the live. I forgot you was in here, Phoebe. That means you've been lurking. You've been lurking since we got back in. Let's go. It's all good. All right. So what we're going to do, you guys are throwing value in the chat. At this juncture, we're going to take 2 questions. What questions do you guys have? Give me your hardest questions. Literally, I want you guys to try to stump me with your questions, okay? Throw your hardest questions in the chat. That is Annie. Annie Pani, I see you. She says value. Let's go. I want you to throw your hardest questions in the chat, guys. We'll take 2 questions before we wrap up. Now, for those of you who've been getting value, we shared earlier before the live tried to crash out on us. If you would like to go deeper on anything I've shared in today's session, the path to progress, your understanding on hearing, how we've talked about cash flow, creating consistent and colossal cash flow, direct message me on one of the platforms where you can direct message. If you're on the black platform, direct message me, Samuel, I want to join the cash flow creation week that we have coming up this month. If you're on the blue platform, you can direct message me, Samuel, I'd love to be a part of the upcoming cash flow creation week. And if you're on the purpley orange platform, you can direct message me. If you're on the red platform, you cannot direct message me. There's no direct message feature. But if you're on any of the other platforms, direct message me if you want to join our upcoming 5-day cash flow creation week, where we literally teach you on day 1 the science of cash flow creation, on day 2 the strategies of cash flow creation, on day 3 the skills of cash flow creation, on day 4 the systems of cash flow creation, and on day 5 we tie it all up as I show you how to have cash flow creation success. If that's of interest to you, yes, it's a financial investment, because if it isn't something you pay for, it isn't going to be something you pay attention to. So for those of you who are ready for that, feel free to message me, direct message me, and we can have that conversation. First and foremost, the reason I'm asking you guys to direct message me, because I want to know that it's for you. Okay, I'm not that guy who just says, come and join this, just come and spend your money. No, we're not into that. All right, so let's move further faster. Let's go. Miriam, welcome to the live. Miriam Pray Plus Career, welcome to the live. Haven't seen you in the live before. Let's go. All right, Miriam says, I don't know if this is a waste of a question, guys, but I will answer the question. Thank you, Miriam, for asking. It's not on the topic we've been talking about this live. Miriam's question is, Samuel, what camera do you use? It's clean. Thank you ever so much, Miriam. And the reason I'm looking down is because I thought I could show you the box. So just to make this super simple, I can tell you exactly the camera, but I wanted to show you the box, so it's just easier. I use a Canon DSLR camera. I like DSLR cameras. DSLR cameras, for those of you who aren't into tech and all of that stuff, are the big cameras that are the old school professional cameras for taking pictures. Okay, so I use a Canon DSLR camera for my main camera. I also use another Canon DSLR camera for my second camera over here for my people in the back, and I use another Canon camera, which isn't a DSLR, it's a mirrorless camera, for my coaching camera, which is over there by my vibe board. Okay, so I like Canon cameras, okay, and I do have Sony cameras as well, interestingly enough, but they're all over at my desk. So at my desk, I've got a Sony camera, which is so close I can probably reach it. It will just take me a bit of a lean. If you want me to lean, just write the word lean, and I can lean for you and go and get my Sony camera. But at my desk with my 2 monitors, my laptop, where I actually do a lot of my property and business work, I have a Sony setup over there. But here in my battle station, where I do a lot of my live streams, my live stream setup is with all Canon cameras. So we've got a 3 camera setup here, and they're all Canon. 2 DSLRs and 1 what they call mirrorless camera. A mirrorless camera is a lightweight, modern version of a DSLR camera. DSLR cameras are old school. They're a bit more old school. But yeah, I just like the quality of DSLR cameras. All right, cool. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Miriam, thank you for the badge. I just saw that come through. Blessings to you. Thank you for the badge. And Miriam says, God bless you, thank you. Most welcome, you're most welcome. And Miriam, you can message me. You can direct message me if you've got other questions about stuff like that. Always happy to help. Always happy to help people in our community move further faster. Let's go. All right, Andrew throws in the next question. Andrew says, how would you be able to use leverage when you don't have any? Okay, this is a great question. Miriam says she decided to follow the host. Miriam, thank you for deciding to follow the host. We appreciate you. And guys, those of you in the like train, we're at 6,000, guys. Let's hit 10,000 at least before we finish. That was what Comitima said we should hit. Let's hit 10,000 likes. Let's go. Andrew's question is a great question. All right, so let's go into Andrew's question. We'll unpack this. Andrew's question reveals something about a belief Andrew has, which is a belief I don't have. Okay, so I have to say this, not because I'm trying to put Andrew on smash. I have to say this because the reason I love questions, the reason why in our 5-day cash flow creation week, we have a VIP experience. And on the VIP experience, every day, the VIPs get to ask questions for 60 minutes each day, right? At the end of the training. The reason we do that is because questions reveal as well as reveal, okay? So questions don't only open doors for answers, but questions also share with you what someone's thinking or where their thinking's at, okay? And most people don't know this, all right? But I've spent a long time studying questions, okay? Partly when I did my master's in teaching, partly when I used to work as a teacher, definitely as I've been coaching over the last 2 decades, etc., okay? So I'm gonna help you with this. I'm gonna first unpack the belief that is implicit in Andrew's question. And then after I unpack the belief that's implicit in Andrew's question, I'm then going to answer Andrew's question to the best of my ability. Now, the reason I have to say the best of my ability is because if I don't believe something Andrew believes, it's hard. Can you guys understand? Just put a yes in the chat. Let's take a quick poll, right? Do you guys understand why it may be difficult for me to answer a question when the beliefs that hold that question up, I don't hold. Okay, if you do, just put yes in the chat. If you don't, put no in the chat, because then that just gives me an idea of you guys understanding of what we're talking about. Okay, Annie Panny says yes, this is good, right? Annie Panny's been rocking with us since before we got kicked out, so this is super good. All right, cool. All right, so let's jump into Andrew's question, which I like. It's a great question. All right, I'm always, every question is a great question. Okay, so I'm not the kind of guy who's like, oh, that's a bad question. No, okay, I think every question provides value, so we're going to jump into it. All right, so I'm going to speak about a belief, then I'll go into the question. Andrew's question: how would you be able to use leverage when you don't have any? Okay, that's his question. My recognition of a belief that Andrew holds is Andrew holds the belief that it's possible for someone to have no leverage. Okay? This is something being built. Okay? This is good. Okay? So Annie Panny says, Andrew, you have leverage. You have to believe it for yourself. Okay? So this is good. This is good, Annie Panny saying this, because Annie Panny is allowing me to not have to say what I was going to say because she's already revealing it. Okay? Now, here's something I want everyone to understand. This will hopefully help you as well, Andrew. If you for a second believe you have no leverage, are you going to operate like someone who has leverage or someone who has no leverage? Someone just write that in the chat, okay? Has or does not have. Just let me know, okay? And anyone can answer that question. This ain't a question directly to Andrew. This is a question for all of us. I want you guys to think about this. If you believe that you do not have leverage, how will you operate? You'll operate as if you have no leverage, okay? You've got it, okay? Andrew said you'd operate as someone who doesn't, okay? So here's a question, Andrew, that I want you to answer. I want Andrew to answer this question, and then we're gonna go deeper. Andrew, if you operate like you have no leverage, just because you're not aware of your leverage, are you doing yourself a disservice or a service, okay? If you operate, let's even take it out of leverage and let's talk about money, because money is an easy thing to measure. If a person operates like they have no money because they believe that they have no money, here's even a better question. Does that actually mean they have no money? Okay? Is it possible that someone has money, but because they're not aware that they have money, they operate like they have no money? Okay? I want you guys to understand this, because this is the world we live in. When I introduce myself, people say, who are you? I say, I'm Samuel, I can win, it can win. I help people create consistent and colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight. Now, why do I say hidden in plain sight? Because 99% of the people I help, before I help them, they couldn't see what was right in front of them. Andrew said it. It will be a disservice. 99%. I've got clients who, when they met me, were struggling to make £3,000 per month. And you might be thinking, struggling to make £3,000 per month? If I was making £3,000 per month, I'll be made. No, you wouldn't. If you had a 6-figure salary and you had £4 million in property, and that whole £4 million empire was only making you £3,000 a month, £36,000 a year, you would not be thinking you had it made like lemonade. You would know you're on the struggle bus. Because if you got £4 million in property and you're only making £3,000 a month, you will know that something's wrong with that equation. I've got a client who was in that situation, and I worked with her to assist her to now generating over £83,000 a month. Do you know why? Not because she's silly, not because she's ignorant, not because she's slow, not because of any negative or derogatory term any human being could ever think of or fathom. She's actually one of the smartest people I've met. You know why? Because she's just like you and me, made in the image of God. Thank you, Andrew, for deciding to follow the host. But let me tell you what her situation was. Her situation was she couldn't see the leverage that was right in front of her. Let me share something real quick before I start to give you the answer to your question. And Andrew, let me know if this has already been valuable for you before we've even got to the answer to your question. One of the things I tell my clients is you can't read the label from inside of the bottle. So if you are a student or a person and you're living your life and you are inside of a bottle. Let's illustrate this, because I think this is going to be super helpful if I illustrate it for you guys to see exactly what we're talking about. Okay? If you're a person who's dealing with life, maybe some people might say you're on the struggle bus. I don't know your situation. Let me just paint it out. If you find yourself, oh, we haven't got it set up. Oh my gosh, here we go. I must have disconnected when I said I was going to take questions. It's all good. It's all good. Let's go. Today, the technology wants to show a new way. But it's okay, because we know how to pray. Let's go. And for those of you who are praying people in the live, say a word of prayer, please, because the enemy has definitely been attempting to shut us down today. Let's go. I'm so glad that I serve a faithful God. All right, good stuff. You guys should be able to see this now. So if you are inside of a bowl, and guys, please, my name's Samuel, I can win. It's not Picasso, okay? Please don't shout at me for my poor drawing, okay? If you are inside of a bowl, hopefully you understand that means you cannot read the label on the bowl. Samuel, what do you mean? This is what I mean. If this bottle that you're in is full up with what we might call 40% volume, some of you know what I'm talking about. 40% volume, too much of that will knock someone out. If I'm correct, someone just put yes in the chat. Too much of 40% volume will cause someone to go into comatose. Okay? Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because I want you to understand the way the world works. You cannot read the label from inside of the bowl. This is why I can say to people, my name is Samuel, I can win, it can win. I help people create consistent and colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight. Why is it hidden in plain sight? Not because you're blind. It's not hidden in plain sight because I'm better than you. It's not hidden in plain sight because I know a million things more than you. It's hidden in plain sight because you are inside of the bottle and I am outside of the bottle. So I can read the label. I can see, oh, this is vodka. This is 40% volume. You need to get out of here. You just need a few glasses of water and to get out of this intoxifying substance, and you'll be okay in about a day. You just need a good sleep. You see, you can't read the label inside of the bottle. So this is what I'm helping you do right now, Andrew. And this is, again, some of you are sitting in this live literally thinking, wow, Samuel, that's super powerful. You just helped me. You helped me see this. When you said that Andrew has a belief based on da-da-da, I'm seeing this. It's becoming clearer to me. The reason it's becoming clearer to you is because I'm showing you how you can't read your own label when you're inside of the bottle. That's what I'm doing. Okay? This is what I do for my coaching clients. This is how they achieve high levels of success in short amounts of time. Leverage. The leverage is finding someone outside of the bottle. This is why for those of you, I think Annie Pani was on my live a couple of days ago. I know Komutimo was on the live a couple of days ago. One of the lives I did a couple of days ago, one of the things I said is everybody needs a coach. And your coach doesn't have to be me, but go get a coach. Why? Because when you get a coach, no matter how much you pay that coach, you are activating leverage. If you hear the coach, what the coach has to say. If you activate hearing, you are activating leverage. Why? Because the coach is going to be able to tell you what is on the label, which you can never see because you're in the bottle. Andrew, let me know if this is helpful so far. Let's go. All right, so let's get into the question a bit deeper now. So Andrew's question was, how would you be able to use leverage when you don't have any? Now, first and foremost, the underlying belief here is that it's possible for a person to have no leverage. I don't believe that. The reason I don't, and Andrew, if you want me to explain why I don't believe it, I can do that very quickly. It wouldn't take me even up to 5 minutes to explain why I don't believe that. Okay. So if you would like me to do that, just say yes, please, and then I'll do that for you as well. Okay. Let me just find this. In case Andrew wants that as well. All right, cool. So let's keep moving, okay? All right, Andrew says yes, please. All right, let's jump into this first, all right? So there's a verse in the Bible, Andrew, is found in Proverbs 13, verse 23. I'm going to read it to you. This is one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, this is one of the reasons why I don't believe it's possible to have no value or to have no leverage, excuse me. Let's use the language we're using in this session. Proverbs 13, okay? Proverbs 13, I'm going to read verse 23. And those of you who have been in the live earlier on this week, you would know that I shared the same verse explaining something completely different, right? Because it's basically the same central tenet, okay? So what does it say in Proverbs 13, 23? Listen to what it says. It says, there is much food in the tillage of the poor. Much food is in the tillage of the poor. What does that mean? That means poor people who the world will tell you have nothing. God is telling you through the words of Solomon, who the Bible says is the wisest man who ever lived in his day. The wisest man who ever lived is telling you there is much food. There's a lot of food. There's an abundance. Much means an abundance. There's an abundance of food in the tillage of the poor. Okay, but listen to this. The verse doesn't end there. So let me read the end of the verse so you can understand how this works. Proverbs 13:23 says, there is much food in the tillage of the poor. Listen to this. But there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. So what does that mean in simple English? In simple English, that means the poor person's problem is not leverage. The poor person's problem is not opportunity. The poor person's problem is judgment. The poor person struggles with judgment more than they struggle with money. Because there's much tillage, there's much food, there's much opportunity in the tillage of the poor. But there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. So the thing that the poor person struggles with, according to Proverbs 13:23, is not money. They struggle with judgment. Again, this is why when people say, hey, Samuel, who are you? What do you do? I say, my name is Samuel. I can win, it can win. I help people create consistent and then colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight. Why is it hidden in plain sight? Because you have to develop your judgment. And that's my job as a coach. That's my job as an investor. When I'm looking at a property and considering whether I'm going to buy it, whether I'm not going to buy it, I have to be able to have a skill set of judgment, a tool set of judgment, a mindset of judgment, so I can end up having an asset of value. This is most people's problems. Most people are trying to focus on the 75% instead of getting really good at their 25%. Most people are trying to use their arms and their shoulders and their biceps and triceps to create a tree instead of actually being good at studying a seed. A seed is smaller than a tree. A seed can fit in your hand. A tree you couldn't even pick up if you had the opportunity. You see the difference? You see what happens when you start thinking about things the right way. The problem is we have all been hoodwinked. How do I know that? I used to work in schools. I was given the curriculum to hoodwink humanity. And I used to do the hoodwinking. I even became a teacher trainer. I used to teach teachers how to teach. And one day I realized, what am I doing? What am I doing? This stuff is leading people astray. And I'm right here in the middle of the way. I said, I can't do this anymore. I've got to do something else. I've got to show people the truth. Because the Bible says in John chapter 8, verse 32, you will know the truth and the truth will make you free. So let's see if we can give you an answer to your question. How would I be able to use leverage? Well, the first thing I would do is I would believe that there is leverage I have. And then I would endeavor to discover what that leverage is. And the fastest way to see what you have when you can't see what you have is to bring in someone else who doesn't see like you. or more importantly, to bring in someone else who doesn't look like you. And when I say look like you, I don't mean doesn't look like you. I mean someone who doesn't look like you. Because if you look at your situation and can't see any leverage, you need someone who doesn't look the way you look so they can help you see the leverage. And when they see the leverage, they can show you the leverage, and then you get the opportunity to do exactly what I spoke about at the start of today's live, part 1, not part 2, when I defined what hearing is. And for those of you who missed that, I'm going to define hearing again. I defined hearing as hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, ways, and windows that we have shared with us. So if you can't see leverage in your life, but someone else can come and look at from a different perspective and see leverage in your life, when they share with you that you have leverage, you have to activate your ability to hear. Because if you don't activate your ability to hear, guess what? You're not going to appreciate what they say. You're not going to internalize what they say. You're not going to activate/act on what they say. So you won't get paid from what they say. Does this make sense to somebody? Someone, I don't know. Someone let me know if this is valuable. All right? Whew. Guys, I tried. We did the live. We had over 16,000 likes. They threw us out. We came back. We've got over 7,000 likes. And we've answered 2 questions. For those of you who are getting value in this live, feel free to write the word value in the chat. Hit the like, press subscribe, become a member, a part of our tribe. If you think this is valuable, let someone know, hit that share button, do what you got to do. If you're not following, follow if you're on one of those platforms that can follow. And last but not least, if you have heard what we've been talking about throughout this live and you're saying to yourself, you know what, Samuel, I need to change my life. If you're in a situation like Andrew where you can't see your value and you're looking for someone to help you see your value, here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Direct message me. If you're on the black platform, you can direct message me. They have a feature. If you're on the blue platform, you can hit me up in Messenger. They have a feature. If you're on the purpley orange platform, you can message me as well. And just say, Samuel, I want to join your cash flow creation week. And let's talk about you jumping on the upcoming cash flow creation week that we have this month, where we can help you move further, faster in your future. There is a financial investment. Okay. Why? Because those who pay attention. Hey, Samuel, how are you going to say those who pay attention? Because that's what I understand from the Bible. The Bible has a powerful verse. It says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Unfortunately, many of our pastors and preachers are teaching that the other way around, but you go read it for yourself and see what way around Jesus said it. He didn't say where your heart is, your treasure will be. He gave you the actual formula and said where your treasure is, there will your heart be. Okay, so for those of you who want to be a part of our upcoming 5-day cash flow creation week, as a VIP, it is less than £500 to be a part for 5 days of deep, detailed training where we show you how to move further, faster in your future by breaking down on day 1, cash flow creation science, on day 2, cash flow creation strategies, on day 3, cash flow creation skills, on day 4, cash flow creation systems, and on day 5, I show you how to bring it all together and have cash flow creation success in a way that you will truly see that you are blessed. If you're a VIP, you don't only get the training for an hour each day, you also get the VIP experience, which includes a 60-minute VIP Q&A every day for the 5 days. So you're gonna have the training and you're gonna have the Q&A section. Now, the reason that's valuable is A, you get to ask questions to make sure you can cement all of the learning you got. B, you get to hear the questions from everyone else in the training that you never even thought to yourself to ask, and the answers to those questions. And then C, whether you join general or you join VIP, general is less than £250, VIP is less than £500, and whatever tier you join, you get catch-up recordings. So if you're working nights or you can't do one task or you can't be in one class, you get the replays for up to 24 hours after each session to make sure that you can move further faster in your future. Now, does that sound valuable, guys? Does that sound valuable? If it does, just write in the chat. It does. If it does, let me know, guys. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. We've had over 400 people participate in our 5-day cash flow creation week since 2021 when we started running it. Okay, so if you want to be a part of that and you want to discover how to move further faster in your future, you want to discover how to stop being on the struggle bus, how to stop striving and start thriving, come and be one of my guests on the 5-day cash flow creation week. All right, guys, with that being said, I guess we've had a fantastic night. I hope you've got a lot of value out of it. We're at 7,500 likes. We nearly hit Communitima's goal of 10,000, but either way, you guys know what it is. We definitely hit my goal of 20,000 because we had 16,000 in the first live, and now we've hit 7,000 in this live. So we are on, what's that, 23,000 likes in total if we add the two parts together. So I'll settle for that for tonight. So with that being said, guys, good day, God bless, stay blessed, and I look forward to seeing you on the next live. And congratulations to those of you who've already direct messaged me. I'm looking forward to seeing you later on this month in our cash flow creation week where you move further faster in your future. With that being said, good day, God bless, and remember, small keys open big doors. I'll see you on the next one. Let's go.